Hey, dreamers, welcome back to your Dream Coach podcast, where we talk about building your dream life and business from the inside out through leadership, fulfillment, and growth. I'm your host, Shayla Wey. I'm a small business coach, team culture nerd, and a believer in the magic of doing work that lights your soul on fire. Today's episode is called Culture by Design: How to Create Values That Actually Mean Something. And I have to say, this one is super close to my heart because if you're growing a team, you're leading a business, or even dreaming about launching something of your own, the culture you create is either pushing you toward your dream or pulling you away from it. So let's dive in. I want to start by saying this: culture happens whether you design it or not. Okay. And I have found in every team I've led, coaching I've done, or, teams that I have seen grow to the next level, is that when culture is left up to chance, that's when cracks start to show. So culture isn't ping pong tables. It's not motivational posters on a wall. It's not even the values written in your company handbook. It's what you do every day, what you tolerate, what gets celebrated, and what goes unspoken. And so here's the kicker, is that your culture either aligns with the life you're trying to build or it sabotages it. So many small business owners and leaders create a list of company values because they feel like they should. And you know the list I'm referring to: integrity, teamwork, excellence, innovation, all totally fine words. But what do they mean? And how do they show up day to day? So what are the values that are collecting dust? And what are the values that are driving the dreams in your organization? What I've found is that values only matter if they're used to make decisions. So they need to be specific enough to guide hiring, firing, promotions, conflict resolution, and even who you say no to as a potential client. I remember my early years having a challenge in my organization with one employee in particular that really wasn't in alignment with my values. And my business coach at the time really asked me, what were my values? And I kind of was a little bit stunned because I actually didn't know specifically what the core values were in the business that I was leading at the time. And so it was sort of an exercise that I had to go through. But what came from that was I wanted to work with people that were coachable. And I wanted to work with people that were really committed. And I wanted to work with people that were kind. And that exercise allowed me to be very much in alignment with the people I wanted to work with and people I didn't want to work with. And from that moment on, for the next few years while I was working in that business, it allowed me to be very intentional with people that I hired, people I let go, how I promoted people. And I would rather work and grow a business with people that were alignment with the values of being coachable, committed, and kind versus just good skills in a certain area that wasn't what I needed. And I was able to grow my business to high levels because I was in alignment with the values of the people I was working with. And so when I hear things, even just example two is one of my clients that runs a business, one of their values is leading with energy. And so that means that they don't do lukewarm. And so if someone on the team is consistently low energy, they're gossipy, or they're just dragging others down, that's not a values fit. Now, we're not saying they're a bad person. We're just saying the culture we've designed, okay, or that they've designed in their business doesn't make space for that energy. Now, I've never coached someone who said, you know what, my dream is to lead a team that is drained, dramatic, chaotic. What leadership wants and what teams and businesses want is they want that fulfillment. They want that freedom. They want that impact. And the thing that gets in the way time and time again is misaligned culture. And that's why culture and the dreams that you have as a leader, that's why they matter so damn much. Because I've seen business owners cry because their team doesn't care as much as they do. I've seen leaders burn out from tolerating poor behavior, all because they were too afraid to offend somebody. And so when your culture is intentional, your business becomes the container that holds your dream, not the thing that breaks it. Now, I don't want this to be one of those episodes where I drop a bunch of ideas, but don't show you what it looks like in real life. So I want to get practical. So what does designing culture actually look like? Well, I want to share some tips and things that I've done in my own businesses, and also what I've done to help my clients design their culture within their businesses as well. Now, it's not enough to say we value ownership, right? We have to translate values into behavior. So if we have our values, that's step one, but what does that actually look like? So one of my clients defined that as you do what you say you'll do, right? Having that integrity, having that ownership, bringing solutions, not problems, right? Are you a leader that is just fishing for people all the time? Or are you going to take some time to teach them how to fish so that they can bring solutions, not problems? I remember in my early leadership years learning how to coach people that would bring me problems. And my response would often be, hey, thanks for bringing that to me. What do you think we should do? And this just allows them that ownership, right? Go ahead and think about it. If you were me, how would you handle this? And it allows them to bring some of the solutions versus just the problems. And that's a leadership and that's a culture change, right? If you value that, you own mistakes instead of blaming, right? We're human. And when we can build a business with vulnerability and ownership in different areas, that also allows us to grow to the next level. So these things can turn into performance metrics, hiring questions, and even weekly reflection prompts. So this week, did I have full integrity? Did I follow through with the things I said I was going to do? What problems did I solve? And where did I take ownership? Maybe when things didn't go the way that I anticipated. I've also found that culture will die in silence. And so, how do we make it visual? How do we make it vocal? I often will say, how do we take your values and really weave them in and out of every single part of your business? Is it on your business card? Is it on your website? Is it in your email signature? Is it something that's on a letterhead with every staff meeting that you run? Right? How do we really weave in the values in every single place that people can look? So that's going to be really key to keep them continuously as a heartbeat throughout the business, and using the values as well as boundaries. Sometimes the hard part is living it when it's inconvenient. So as we roll out some of these refreshed values in our business, sometimes we might have to let people go because they're not in alignment. So I've seen people have to let go of like high performing employees because they weren't in alignment with, say, respect. And it sucks because sometimes you want to keep people that are high performers because they're getting the results. But at the end of the day, the long game will better serve you when you are building with people that are in alignment with what you value as a leader. And so this message is also can be really powerful when you do start to make some shifts. And it really gets people on board that, the ownership and the leadership team is really serious about these changes. It's not something that just comes out in an email and we expect everyone to make that shift, right? So making sure that we translate those into behaviors, we visualize and that they're really vocal throughout all the things that we're doing. And then we use those as the boundaries. Now, I hear this all the time. Well, but Shayla, it's just me and two other people. And I say, perfect, because culture isn't just for big teams. You're actually in the best position to shape culture right now if you're a small team. Okay. When I led a sales team in direct sales, we scaled to hundreds. But the culture started, with 5 people and a vision. And we asked, right? I asked the team, what do we want to be known for? How do we want people to feel working with us? And what won't we tolerate no matter what? And so your culture is your brand. Your team is a reflection of you. And I know that when I was, leading teams that I wasn't overly proud of, that one hit hard. Because when I would remind myself that my team is a reflection of my leadership and it didn't feel in alignment, that sucked. But we can always change that. Okay. And so it's what people whisper about when you're not in the room. So start designing it before somebody else does. And that really is going to shift the growth. And it truly makes the day in the life of business way more fun when you are very much in alignment with what you value and the culture that you're growing. I want to give you some real world wins from some clients as well with culture and coaching and what I've seen in clients. One owner of a medical spa was really drowning in turnover until we really sat down and designed values around trust, client experience, and team accountability. Within months, morale was up and profit followed. Another business, a stationery company that I worked with and coached them for a long time, created values around playfulness and intentional living. And now a lot of her wholesale partners actually reference them even in their emails. So that is in alignment with the values that that company that I was coaching was looking for. So when you build a culture that reflects who you are and the future that you're creating, you stop chasing external validation and you start attracting the right people, clients, team members, even mentors. So I want to zoom out for a second and I want you to think about your personal life and the culture around that as well. Because you don't need a business to benefit from designing your values. This is powerful in your life too. You know, my family has values, and one of them is adventure before excuses. If we say yes to spontaneous plans, we prioritize trips, we laugh when things go wrong. Another is truth over comfort. That means we talk about the hard stuff even when it's awkward, especially when it's awkward. These values shape how I parent, how I schedule my days, and how I choose my friends. So your culture isn't just for your business, it's the atmosphere of your life. So I want to wrap this up with a gentle but direct question. What is the culture that you're creating? And is it helping or hurting your dream? Because here's the truth. I've learned the hard way. If you don't design it, your burnout will. If you don't speak it, your silence will shape it. And if you don't live it, your dream won't either. So if this episode sparked something in you today, a value you need to revisit, maybe a conversation you've been avoiding, or even a teammate who's been draining your energy, let this be a little nudge for you that you needed. Thanks for spending some time with me today. If you loved this episode, share it with a fellow dreamer or leave a review. It really means the world. Until next time, go lead a life and a business that actually feels like yours. You got this.